What's wrong with the Mini Rex? Nothing, because this ain't the Mini Rex. This is the Blue Dino? Dino? I don't know. I think I like calling it the Dino. Look at that. Same company. It's a Dinli. It's like exactly the same quad. Andrew and Christopher picked it up for $75. It's not exactly the same quad. There are some differences. You'll notice up here, it has little shocks in the front. Yeah, that's right. A little front suspension on it. And a little wiggle action. Oh man, that's gonna probably turn really good. Right now I've got it on a, oh, here's another difference. It has a little toe ball on the back of it. Not a toe ball, but a little jack, or a little hole for a toe ball. They took one of the tires off because a valve stem came off of the Mini Rex. So they just borrowed the tire while I'm looking at it, and I guess they'll get a valve in the tire and get the other tire back. But it looks like it has good tires on it. It has the side plastics. It has the top plastic. The tank, the motor, everything else looks like it's there. The carburetor's there. They said it came with like a funky ass intake on it, like a janky intake. So they took it off. Some PVC thing. I don't know what else looks different. It all actually does, the motor and everything kind of looks very similar, as well as the electrical stuff looks pretty similar. Same rectifier right there. There's a voltage regulator. So I haven't done anything except just kind of briefly look at it. They dropped it off today. And so I'm gonna just start digging in and see what we got. The starter works. Let's see if we have spark. Nope, no spark. My universal quad key, a paper clip. We have spark. Now, when I first checked that fuel line, it didn't actually, nothing was coming out of it at first. There's gas in the tank. I don't know how good it is or whatever, but just flipping the fuel petcock back and forth a little bit, I got it to actually start to come out on reserve. Let's pull this off and you can, it's not actually flowing anymore. It was flowing. Let's see if yeah, there it goes. So it is coming out. Got a little fuel in there. Let's see if we can get it to at least just burp a little bit with that spark plug in there. Contact. Try the choke. Let's see, what do we have up here? What do we have? Where's my freaking starter fluid? Arrgh. Let's try some starter fluid. Come on, give me something. 30? It's ridiculously bad. Don't know exactly what the problem is, but somehow I don't think RTV for a head gasket and possibly a base, well, the base gasket doesn't matter so much, but RTV for a head gasket, that is usually not acceptable. I mean, I'm not sure about this specific engine, but usually not how you do it. All right, put a little WD-40 down in the cylinder, and it came up to 60. kind of starting to squeak now. Let me try getting a little throttle on there while I'm... No, that's not helping any. It's still, it's back down to 40. So it probably has to do with the rings. Probably, I'll say. But yeah, the top end's got to come off, and we'll take a look at it. Hold the phone here. I went to go take the head off, and one of the bolts was just freaking loose as hell. And actually just, that's 90 PSI? Let's see if it'll fire. Money, big money, no whammies. Oh, I saw it actually popping out of the cylinder head that time. Did you see that? Oh yeah. I don't know if that's showing up. Yeah, it needs a new head gasket at the very least. I could try tightening it up one more time, but you know, like I said, you know, RTV is usually not an acceptable thing for a head gasket. Alright, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show this, but I'm going to take a peek in the cylinder here. Oh, there we go. See some pretty bad scoring in there. It's really just hard to get good light in there, but you can kind of see the score marks. The surface, the top surface of the cylinder doesn't look bad. Actually, it seems pretty smooth. A couple nicks here and there. The cylinder head, it's got a bunch of scratches on it. And it obviously wasn't seating properly. The head gasket itself is just, you know, failed. So, it needs a new head gasket. I think in the meantime, what I'll try to do is I'm going to try to resurface this head with what I have. I pulled one of my deck plates for my press, because that's, I guess, the flattest thing that I got here. I don't have like a piece of glass or anything to do the work with, but I can wet sand out the head and see if I can get it flat again. If I can get it, you know, relatively flat, I can use some copper sealant, some copper spray gasket to try and get it sealed back on there, just so that it'll seal. And then at that point I want to try and move forward with it, just because I want to know whether or not the engine will run, you know. I think I can get it running with basically just repairing this head and basically gluing it back on with copper spray gasket. It's actually designed for head gasket stuff as opposed to RTV, which is not. Yeah, I just started this, and you can kind of already see some of the progress where this whole head is kind of like, you know, bowed in, I guess. This entire surface needs to be flat so it can mate to the cylinder. and so yeah, I'm just using 220, wet sanding it on, like I said, on one of my deck plates for the press. But it's promising that it looks like this, at least that way, or at least I know it looks like I should be able to get it flat again. We'll see. Getting there. I'm hearing some thunder out there. Got the cylinder head all cleaned up. Pretty good. There's some gouges on it, but that shouldn't affect the seal, I think, because I can get sealant around most of it. Like I said, the head is pretty good too. I've cleaned it up as much as I could, and you know, here's your novice tip for you. If you really need to spray a gasket for a head cylinder, or for cylinder heads, use something with, you know, I don't know, maybe a picture of cylinder head on the can. Copper spray gasket. This stuff is great. High temp sealant, actual high temp. Like, you know, in and close to the flames high temp. High temp. This stuff, I've used it, God, forever. And it works wonders. It's like glue, but it's also has copper. It's basically made out of copper, like liquid copper, and shit works fantastic. And I usually just throw it on both surfaces, and let it get tacky, and then mate them together. It's as easy as that. Survey says $140. I'll take it. But we really want to know if it'll fire. Well, it won't without a spark plug. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Let's try putting a little bit more, excuse the filmery. I'm going to spray a little bit more of this magical liquid in there and see if we can get anything. Nothing. Dang it. I'll keep digging. Oh, you heard that though, right? You heard that. Let's try it with the choking one. Oh. We have fire. I haven't touched the carburetor at all, and I don't know the state of this gas. I'm gonna start with the tank and see if I can get it running on some known good gas, some 2-stroke mix. I don't want to ruin the motor. I don't know if the oil injection system works. It has one. It's like the Mini Rex. It has one. I'm not sure how well it works. There is oil in the 2-stroke tank too, so you know, it might work, but I'll make sure before I go dependent on it. But it looks like we have a runner. All right, it seems to be a pretty good little runner. It starts every time as long as you use the choke. You got to go full choke. Oops. Ignition on would be good too. Ugh. So it starts up. Look at that. Now, once you let off the gas and then try to go on the gas again, it dies unless you hit the choke again. So there is some sort of fueling issue. The brake works. The transmission obviously works. It can idle for a little bit. The idle needs to come down some. So about there. And then eventually she just peters out. So there's something wrong with the fuel circuit on the carburetor. I got to take it off. I'll take it off, clean it up, check it out, and see what I can do to fix it. Maybe some passages are blocked or whatever, but yeah, that'll be my next step. I put some fresh mix in the tank so that I'm not depending on the injection system until I know if that works or not. But yeah, it actually sounds pretty good. I don't hear any weird noises from the bottom end on it, or the top end for that matter, or the engine sounds nice and smooth, and it revs super high. Did you hear how high that thing revved? Super high. This thing's gonna be, I think, faster than the Mini Rex even, so it might be the lead bike, the bike to pick if you want to race. Blue Dino. So this one has a Walbro carburetor on it. You can see the little insignia there on the top. It has a manual choke in the front here. Let's see if I can get it with one hand. Yeah, you can see it kind of closing in the front there. And it has a little return spring on it. One thing I noticed is that with the linkage, when you open or when you close the choke, it doesn't automatically return back. When you open or when you close the choke, it doesn't automatically return back to being in the open position. You have to hold the cable and then push this thing. So let's see if I can mount that cable end in here a little bit better to get that working a little bit better. And then the throttle's in the back. The base idle screw is right there. That basically holds the throttle valve open a certain amount just for idle. Basically, it doesn't let it close any more than that. So that's how you set your kind of like your base idle on it. The oil comes in from here because of course it's a two-stroke, and the fuel comes in from here. Now, when this thing was on there, it had also has this little port on the top here with this kind of burnt up looking hose. Let's see if I can get this off with one. Yes, I can. You see the tip of it's kind of like burnt up, like it's been in oil or kind of been burned a little bit. I'm just going to put that right back on there to kind of go over what that is. I think that this is supposed to go into engine vacuum. Basically, it's supposed to get a pulse from the crankcase, so that, and I think that that's why that it doesn't really have any kind of real throttle response unless you use the choke. Because once you use, if you close the choke and that lets more fuel go in, and then at the same time you open the throttle, as soon as you open back up the choke so that you're just running off the throttle, it goes full throttle and it goes like crazy until you let off. And even then, like if you let it like die down halfway and then hit the throttle again, it'll go back up. But it's that low, it's like from that low, from the idle, like through the mid RPM, it has basically zero. It's like a dead throttle. It's like boom, boom. All you hear is like vacuum coming in. And I think it's because this wasn't hooked up. This needs to be hooked up to the engine vacuum, basically, like the intake port. And so I was like, what the heck? Well, I didn't, that tube was, that's all it was on there, was just that little bit of tube. So I was looking around, and sure enough, right under this little flap, there's a little inlet right there, and I'm pretty sure that that's the vacuum that we need. So I'm gonna run a line from there to the carb and set it back up and see if that fixes the carburetor problems. Hopefully it does. These Walbro carburetors are, I think, supposed to be pretty good. So yeah, hopefully that'll fix it. Look at that. I don't look like a champ. Oh. Real finicky still. Like, I got the idle down and I got it to where it was, I mean, that That is screaming. God, it's screaming. And idling. Nice and low. I still think the carburetor needs a rebuild on it though. I noticed there's a little fuel in the little vacuum line that I adjusted up or setting up here. And I think it's because there's a broken diaphragm or something like that underneath there. I haven't pulled it apart yet, so I'm not 100% sure, but you know, I think it's weird because, like, if you're on it and you let off of it only for a few seconds, then you get back on it, it goes right away. You know, like, it picks up, it goes right away. But if you let it sit there and idle for a little bit, oh, man, this thing keeps falling off. The little switch for this guy. Try not to turn it off. I'll glue that on or something. But if you let it sit there and idle for a little bit, maybe a little bit more. And then you hit the gas, sometimes it stumbles a little bit. Didn't do it that time, so I don't know. It seems like it's a little finicky sometimes, but other than that, it seems to run all right. I don't know. It sounds pretty good.
Yeah, we're topped out. Go, Jack, go! So you're gonna be